Would you like to see how I make homemade whole wheat bread using fresh milled flour? If you're interested, stick around. Alright, so I have all the ingredients set out here. We're going to be using a stand mixer. We're going to need fresh milled flour, salt, yeast, raw honey, some oil of your choice, 2 loaf pans, 3 cups of warm water. Let's get started making this delicious whole wheat bread. It will make 2 loaves. Get ready. Into our stand mixer, I'm going to add 3 cups of warm water, 1 tablespoon of yeast. This is active dry yeast. Give that a little stir. A 1/3 cup of avocado oil. You can use the oil of your choice. 3/4 cup raw honey. This is honey from our beehives, as we are beekeepers. Mix that together. Add 1 teaspoon of salt. We use pink Himalayan salt. I would encourage you to use a natural salt. And then we're going to start adding our fresh milled flour. This is organic hard red wheat and organic hard white wheat. I like to blend the two, but you don't have to. So far I've added 2 cups of fresh milled flour. We're going to mix that together. And this is the start of our dough. Cup number 3, 4, and 5 so far. We will be using more. With fresh milled flour, I find that it does require a little bit more flour than a typical recipe. It's something you just have to learn to work with and adjust. We're going to mix that together. Six cups of flour. Seven cups of flour so far. We want to add flour until the dough starts to clean the bowl. So make sure you're adding your flour a little bit at a time. 8 cups of flour. We're not quite there yet. It's still sticky looking. And that's 9 cups flour so far. You can see it's starting to clean the edge of the bowl, but not fully yet. So now I'm to the point of just sprinkling in flour until it starts to clear that bowl. Looking pretty good. Just let the mixer work for you. Still a little too sticky, so I've added just a little bit more flour. You can see it's spinning a little more freely in the bowl. It's gathered all of that debris on the edge of the bowl into the dough. So we have reached that magic moment. Now we're going to let the mixer knead the dough for about 3 to 5 minutes. Get that elasticity going in the dough. Once the mixer has kneaded the dough for that 3 to 5 minutes, you're going to need a large bowl. Spray it with oil. This is avocado oil again, but you can use the oil of your choice. We're going to get the dough out of the mixing bowl. Place the dough in that bowl. I like to spray my hand first so it doesn't stick all over your hand. That way it allows me to scrape it out of the mixing bowl with my hand, and we won't have a giant mess. So scrape the dough into your oiled bowl. And then basically we're just going to form this dough into a fairly tight ball to sit here in this bowl and double in size. So what I'm doing, I'm just gathering the dough and I'm going to fold it underneath itself, forming it into a somewhat of a tight ball. Doesn't have to be super tight. So we're going to let the dough rest so it can double in size. I use a damp lint-free towel. This is like a flour sack towel. Cover your bowl and let it sit until it's doubled in size. Now the dough has doubled in size. We're going to punch it down with our fist. Get the air out of it. Knead it just a little bit, not too much. You can definitely see the whole wheat bits in the flour, or in the dough from the flour. Alright, we got the air knocked out of it pretty good. So now it's time to prep our 2 loaf pans. Spray them with oil. You want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. These are going to bake for about 45 minutes, 35 to 45, depending on your oven. Each oven works a little bit differently. I'm going to divide this dough in half, since this recipe makes 2 loaves of bread. You could get your dough out of the bowl to divide it, but I don't find that it's necessary with this big of a bowl that I'm using. So take your dough and form a tight loaf. I like to spin it like this to gain some tension on it. Form your loaf. And then place it in your loaf pan. And then do your second loaf. The same exact way. These will have to rise a little bit, so you might not want to preheat your oven quite yet. I jumped the gun on that step. Alright, so second loaf is formed and placed in the pan. So we will be covering these again and use the same cloth that you used for the first rise. It's still slightly damp, so cover those loaves and let those rise. I'm looking for an inch or two rise over the top level of the bread pans. Those look great with a 1 to 2 inch rise above the level of the pan. I'll show you here in a different view so you can actually see the rise from a little bit lower. That is a perfect rise. Time for the oven. So in your 350-degree oven, place these in there for 35 to 40 minutes. Again, it depends on your oven. Mine took closer to 45 minutes. So after the 45 minutes, remove them onto a cooling rack from the oven. Those are big breads, huh? We're just going to marvel at them here for a moment, but look how tall they are. Kind of overflowed the bread pan. These are so good, especially if you cut it when it's still warm. After they've rested about 5 minutes, I like to get them out of the bread pans so they can fully cool and your bread won't get moist on the bottom. So make sure you place them on a cooling rack to allow for proper airflow around them, to allow cooling, and to keep them from getting soggy on the bottom. That one broke a little bit, but it's okay. We'll eat that one first. But that's how I make whole wheat bread by hand, homemade, with freshly milled flour. We have been milling our flour for 12 years. I don't buy flour from the store anymore. The health benefits are amazing, and the bread tastes even better. Your homemade bread will not taste like the store, but that's our intent. Thanks for watching how I make homemade whole wheat bread made with fresh milled flour. We appreciate you being here. This is Leanne with Outdoors and Country Living, and we will catch you later. Take care, and may God bless you.